Governor Greg Abbott has made his pick for the next Secretary of State. Robert Howden, one of his senior advisors, will take over for outgoing Secretary of State Jane Nelson. She is stepping down today after serving as the state's top election official for 3.5 years. KVUE's Daniel Perot joining us in studio with a closer look at who is set to take over that job now. Daniel.
Mark, the governor's announcement today puts an end to weeks of speculation over who would become the state's top voting official just months before the contentious midterm elections in November. Some local election officials say the governor's pick brings them some relief. As Secretary of State Jane Nelson gavels out her career, Governor Greg Abbott gaveling in his pick to replace her, his senior advisor and legislative director Robert Howden. Howden, a Texas Capitol veteran, has worked for several Republican governors.
I think having someone like Secretary Howden, who has years and decades in government, is just going to be a valuable resource.
Prior to Friday's announcement, Governor Abbott said whoever he picks has to ensure this fall's midterms run flawlessly.
And make sure that every vote cast counts, but that only legal votes are cast. And Texans deserve an election system they can have trust and confidence in.
Chris McGinn is the executive director of the Texas Association of County Election Officials, which represents county election officials across the state. He says they hope to meet with Howden in the coming weeks once he settles into the new job.
So we're excited to work with Secretary Howden and just get the ball rolling on preparing for the November election. It sneaks up on you quicker than you think.
Howden is taking over as Republicans in Texas and nationwide are focused on election integrity and the threat of voter fraud. In a primetime speech Thursday, President Donald Trump called the election system
so broken and so vulnerable that no one can possibly defend it. It is not defensible.
McGinn says under outgoing Secretary of State Nelson, Texas has created one of the most robust election integrity systems in the country.
If that continues, we again will continue with successful elections across the state.
Nelson clashed with other Republicans over closing the primaries, which would require voters to register with a specific party in order to vote in the primary. The Texas GOP has filed a lawsuit over it. Under Nelson, Texas was one of a handful of states that gave the federal government access to the state's full voter rolls. The state also started using a federal database to verify voter citizenship. Critics say that system inflates non-citizen numbers because naturalized citizens might be wrongly flagged as non-citizens.
I also want to make sure that nobody who's not a citizen is trying to vote, which is against the law, by the way.
Howden is set to officially take office on Saturday. McGinn says he'll play a critical role in fostering trust in Texas's election system.
Texas will be in a good place going into the November election.
The Texas Senate is charged with confirming the governor's appointees. That will happen when state lawmakers return to Austin in January. Until then, Howden can serve without legislative approval. Jane Nelson was the first Secretary of State to get Senate approval since 2017. Her three immediate predecessors in the role all resigned before getting that Senate approval. In the studio, Daniel Perot, KVUE News.
Daniel, thank you.